ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive. Brought to you by Huntington Federal Savings Bank. Local then, local now. Member FDIC.
It is Thursday, February 3rd. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. You can be a part of the program by calling us on our White Claw phone lines. We do that at 877-420-TALK. That is 877-420-8255. White Claw Hard Seltzer. It is made pure. Our text line is also open. We do that at 304-523-2275. That's 304-523-2275. And I do Twitter as well, at Paul Swann on Twitter. I do the Twitter. So we will take your comments, your phone calls, get your questions in. We're going to do all of that. It's going to be a long night for you because if you're with me tonight, you're probably going to stick around with us later. We've got Marshall basketball on the road taking on Old Dominion. That is coming up tonight. We go on the air at 7 o'clock, tip off a little bit after 8. It's right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. So we're going to get into that a little bit later with you as well as talk a little bit about the Marshall women in action tonight at the Cam Henderson Center. Now, if you're going, be careful. I know the weather conditions are going to be an issue across the region. So if you're going, be careful. Take your time if you are on your way already and you're going to leave afterwards. I'm not sure what weather conditions are really going to be like. We're going to have to look at that hour by hour. But if you are traveling tonight, just be careful. Do that for me. Marshall coming into this contest 11-7. They're 6-3 in Conference USA. Fun promotion tonight. I want one of these. I don't think I'll get one, but I want one of these. The first 200 fans are going to receive a Marshall-themed rally towel. See, that's why I need to send one intern over a game to get me these things. They had the free ice cream. They had the free lemonade. I know I can't expect those things to be brought back to me, but a rally towel, yes, we need some swag here in the studio. So we'll send interns over to do that, procure this stuff for us. I really like what they're doing for Marshall women's basketball. It's been fun. They're winning. They've been in some competitive games. Sure, they had I don't want to know what that was on Thursday against Middle, what happened to them last week. I don't know what happened. Coach doesn't know what happened. I think he knows. Savannah Wheeler didn't know what was happening yesterday if you were with us, so we'll hear from Coach a little bit later on. We'll talk about that matchup. And, of course, it is the day after recruiting. Can you believe that? The National Signing Day has come and gone. The holiday is over. We now start recruiting for the next year and the next year and the next year. Again, this has gone high level here. I mean, we got a recruiting staff. We have people who that's their sole job. I'm envious of them a little bit. They have one job. You have one job and they do it. So I'm really envious of that. Marshall's recruiting class ranked 71st by ESPN. That is considered to be the 7th best out of the group of 5 schools. Not bad. Not bad whatsoever. And if Marshall is successful and starts showing a track record and Coach Huff becomes more successful at Marshall, I'm sure that those recruiting classes will be at this level or higher. And, of course, if Marshall's winning, that means the program is being successful. If the program's being successful, you know what happens. More revenue thrown into the program. The more successful you are trying to generate more revenue based on that success. You'll see more amenities for athletes. You'll see more things happen. I would love to see one time here in the near future some major upgrades and renovations to Joan C. Edwards Stadium. It's about time. It's about time. You got to start thinking about what can you do at the football stadium to keep it on the level of your peers. And, of course, you got to look around the Sun Belt, see what your peer group is looking like. And right now, I haven't done the extensive research, and I will, but there are a few nice-looking stadiums here in the Sun Belt, and that's going to be fun for Herd fans. I'm sure there are some Herd fans that are still maybe not on board with this because, after all, it's never easy to get to Boone, North Carolina. It's just not. It's not a easy travel destination, but at the end of the day, I think this is going to be much better for Marshall. You're going to be in a league where the travel costs are going to be easier to manage. You're going to be traveling. You're going to be driving instead of taking ridiculous road trips and ridiculous flights to destinations. You're going to be playing a little bit more in a geographically friendly area. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. And, of course, Coach Huff, he's putting a circle around Huntington and Marshall. That's going to be an easier sell if you're focusing on recruiting within a certain radius of campus of Marshall. That's going to be an easier sell because you can say, look, your parents can come see you. There'll be opportunities. They can come see you, but they can go on the road as well and see you. Or maybe it's going to be an easier trip for them at some of these road destinations to come see you. So that's always a big sell. Of course, if distance was the only thing that mattered, we'd have a lot of local kids staying locally, but distance sometimes isn't the thing. Sometimes kids want to get away from the parents. I'm not saying that a soccer recruit from Arizona is trying to get away from his parents. I'm not saying that. I'm not inferring that our recruit here, our intern, I don't know, he's sort of like a recruit for us here. He's Ryan Sirk, our producer this afternoon, an Arizona lad in Huntington, West Virginia. Distance didn't matter to you. I mean, sure, soccer and football, maybe different mindsets here, but distance didn't matter to you.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, I want to see snow. I didn't get that in Arizona at all, and it gave me a good time to grow. That's what it is at the end of the day.
Wanted to see snow. I don't want to see snow. I used to want to see snow, but I don't get snow days, so I don't want to see snow anymore.
Would you rather it be like it is today and rainy?
I don't get a choice because it could be ice day. I don't get an ice day either. I'm not going to get a snow day tomorrow. Say, hey, Paul, it snowed. Stay home. Stay home. Go ahead.
They give that option to us sometimes at Marshall, but
oh, sure they do. Sure they do. No, I was told I'm not in school anymore. It's no snow day here. So we'll take your phone calls and get your text in 304-523-2275, 304-523-2275. Who would do the show tomorrow? If I'm not here, who would do the show tomorrow? And the answer is no one. There's no one that can do the show. So it's got to be me. It's got to be me. I'll be here tomorrow. Hopefully we're talking about a Marshall victory both on the men's and women's side of things. Again, if you're heading into Huntington, if you're outside of the area, driving in. If you're already in town, you're making your way over to the Cam Henderson Center. I know we've got weather coming in that's going to be maybe nasty. It's going to get cold, freezing tonight. Just be careful once again. But, of course, if you're heading in, everything looks okay right now. It's just wet. So, take your time. Be careful. Herds in action tonight, 6 o'clock, taking on Old Dominion. And first 200 fans are going to receive that Marshall-themed rally towel. Is it going to be green or white? That's probably the question that should have been asked. Green or white? Been really cool. If it's green, it'd be really cool to see that Kelly green just waving around. Of course, maybe we can get glow sticks and rally towels. That would be cool. I would like that. Tony Kemper, he talked about this game when I was with him yesterday on Zoom. We're going to hear a little bit about that, preview this matchup. Also, we're going to get your phone calls and text in. We'll do that at 304-523-2275 for text. Phone line, 877-420-8255. We'll talk a little bit more about these women. They're taking on Old Dominion. We'll talk a little bit about the men as well. They're getting set for Old Dominion. That's all coming up later on this evening. We'll do it here when we continue on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Presented by Huntington Federal Savings Bank.
We got a question of the day on our Twitter feed at ESPN941. If you're not following us, please do. We appreciate it. Question of the day. And I got to say this beforehand. Yesterday, we had to correct the question. There was a little typo there, a little mistake here. It's okay. It happens. And, of course, I pointed that out. I couldn't let it go because, again, after all, because I've never, ever made a mistake, ever. No grammar mistakes, no typos, nothing. I am flawless on Twitter, Ryan Sirk. I am flawless. But somebody was taking a shot at the interns, and I pointed out that if this was TikTok, you would own it. If we were doing a TikTok feed, you would own it right now. Twitter, not so much. It's because Twitter's old. It's like for old people.
If we had a TikTok one, I'd have you doing dances on there for
No,
sure.
you wouldn't. You could do dance. I'm not doing it.
You know how many people want to see you dance?
Nobody.
I do.
Nobody. I don't want to see. No, I don't want to see it. I don't want to do it. I'm not. I have TikTok. I don't use TikTok. I have it. I'm not going to lip sync that Applebee's song. Come on.
That's what's in fashion.
Lip syncing. So basically, instead of the old-fashioned days where we would go out to a physical place and do karaoke and embarrass ourselves to a live audience, we do it to the masses now. And we dance and we choreograph these things. Who has time to do this stuff? I don't.
College students, we got plenty of time.
Apparently. So the question of the day on Twitter, that old defunct medium. Which Marshall team wins today? Marshall men? Marshall women? Both? Or neither? Hopefully the intern won't get a shot at today like somebody did yesterday. Took a shot at the intern. I didn't identify which one it was on Twitter. So you're half safe. So that's our question of the day. You can, of course, follow us on Twitter, ESPN 941. You can also follow us on Facebook. We got a show page. We got a Facebook page. We got everything. We don't have a TikTok. We're getting there. We're working on that. If the Bengals win the Super Bowl, I might do a TikTok video. Maybe. We'll think about it. We'll see.
Go Bengals.
Okay. We'll work on that. I want to do a TikTok. We'll see if I can get Tony Kemper, head coach of the Marshall basketball team, to join me on that TikTok. He's a Chiefs fan, so he's going to have to gear up in Chiefs gear. I'll get Bengals gear. We'll do a TikTok together. The women are at home tonight, taking on Old Dominion. That's coming up at 6 o'clock, Cam Henderson Center. Marshall 11-7 overall, 6-3 in Conference USA. Old Dominion comes into the contest 15-4. They are 3-2 in league play. I know Marshall didn't do well on the road against Middle Tennessee. I thought it was a nice comeback against UAB, 77-65 loss. Still, it was a better effort. I don't know if the effort's the right word. It's a better performance, better response. Savannah Wheeler, 17th place now all-time in career points at Marshall. She is moving up the charts. She has scored 30 or more points in 4 games this season, 5 times in her career, so she's starting to rack it up here. Old Dominion coming in here, 54-45 win over Charlotte. Held the 49ers to just 1 of 12 from 3, won the battle on the boards, 42-29. They're pretty good. They're not terrible coming in here into the contest. So that's coming up tonight at the Henderson Center. So if you go, expect, I think, a good, hard-fought battle here. And you talk about defense, talk about rebounding. That was the first place that Tony Kemper went when we were talking about what does Old Dominion do, what can we expect from them. And he said it does begin with their defense.
I think it starts from a defensive end. I mean, they have great length as a team, physicality, and they're good on the defensive end. So it starts from there that they can get you in a headspace from a defensive perspective that makes staying steady and mentally tough hard.
He knows this is going to be a battle, because when we talked to him, he didn't give me the they got a couple of good players. No, he started naming them. So I know he's been doing his homework on his scout. He always does his homework, but he had his scout ready to go. He talked about some of those names on that roster you're going to have to be aware of when you're out there looking at this team. Who's going to be important? What do they do? Mentioned the rebounding as well. So, Tony, this is his scout on what you can expect when you see this team out there tonight, these players.
They have Iggy Allen, who has been really good in this league now for 2 years. They've got Asia Wayne, who's been good from the moment she got in here. And they've got Amari Young, who has been good from the moment she got here. And they have others. They just got a post player. This is her first year there from University of Miami that's from that area. She's really come on in conference play. So they really stress you from a defensive perspective and then kind of all over the floor from an offensive perspective. But very good length and physicality across the board. So hard to rebound. That'll be a huge huge key this weekend. They can turn you over. That'll be a big key this weekend. We've got to figure out a way to get shots we like, and that's been tough for everybody that's played them.
Shots are going to be important. Now, as I mentioned, they're coming off that 77-55 loss at UAB and the 80-41 game at Middle Tennessee. We're not talking about that much longer. It's going to be forgotten after tonight. They've got 2 straight losses in league play. Coach was asked about, just talking to the team, that margin for error. It's gone. And he agreed wholeheartedly. It's rest of the way, you got to play to win. You got to play to win, period. But there's no room for mistakes because it's gone.
The margin for error for us is it doesn't exist anymore, right? So like the 3 fouls I talked about on 3-point shots, you can't do that. We just gifted them we lost by 12, and we gifted them 7 points on that alone, and contest the shot. If it goes in, it goes in, but you can't give them 3 free throws. And so, yeah, our margin for error is nil, doesn't exist, and you got to play tough and well, and that's the way basketball is. Conference basketball is like that. It really doesn't matter what conference you look at right now. Men's, women's, whatever, it's all the same. Very tough games, night in and night out. You can play well and lose.
You can play well and lose. Hopefully the Herd plays well and wins. That's coming up tonight, 6 o'clock. We are going to hopefully have reaction from that game afterwards. We'll be back here for a much later post-game. Marshall game's coming up tonight at 8 o'clock. We're going to go on the air at 7 on 93.7 The Dog, also right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. So we'll have his reaction tonight. I'm hoping we're talking to a winning coach. I want to stress that. I hope we're talking to a winning Tony Kemper, because I think this team can really do something. If they can get into the tournament, pretty good seed, I think they've got a legitimate shot here. They've got as good as a shot as anyone right now. And if not the NCAA tournament, I'd like to see them at least make one of the better postseason tournaments, NIT. But I'm not shooting for the NIT. I'm shooting for the NCAA tournament. This is a good team. Couple of missteps here or there. This is a good team. I think they're going to be competitive down this stretch. Tony Kemper, head coach of the Marshall women's basketball team. That's coming up tonight at the Cam Henderson Center. We'll have a reaction for you coming up tonight on our postgame show, Michelob Ultra College Basketball Wrap-Up. Maybe Savannah Wheeler can drop another 30-some points off the old record she's trying to chase. Number 1 all-time scorer. It's a possibility. She could get there. She'll get close. She'll get real close. She keeps dropping 30-point games. She's going to make a nice run at it. When we continue, we'll get your phone calls in and your text. The phone line is now open for you at 877-420-TALK. That is 877-420-8255. It's brought to you by White Claw. White Claw, it's hard seltzer, and it's made pure. Also, our text line is open this hour. That's 304-523-2275. That's 304-523-2275. I'm your host, Paul Swann. This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Brought to you by Huntington Federal Savings Bank, the local bank that's here for every step of your life's journey. Member FDIC.
We're getting you set for tonight's action between Marshall and Old Dominion. That's coming up at 8 o'clock. Paul Swann, your host for today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. You can join the program anytime by calling us on the White Claw phone line at 877-420-TALK. That is 877-420-8255. We got a question of the day. It's on our Twitter feed, ESPN 94.1. I retweeted it a few minutes ago, and I don't know why you're surprised. Mr. Ryan Cirk, our intern, I don't know why you're surprised. The people are voting on it now that I retweeted it. I don't get your surprise here, but you've got votes now. What are the percentages? It's question of the day. Who's going to win tonight? Men, women, both, neither. What are the percentages? What are the people saying?
So at neither, we have 0%.
Good.
For men's basketball only to win tonight, 7%.
Wow.
For
7?
women's basketball to only win tonight, 27%.
Okay, so 27% only for women, 7% only for men. Okay, so what's both?
67% believe both teams will win tonight.
Okay, some optimistic Herd fans there. You can vote on our question of the day. We post one almost every day on ESPN 94.1 on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter as well at Paul Swann. And, of course, if you don't have Twitter, that's fine. You can text me, 304-523-2275. That's 304-523-2275. Now, the men are in action tonight, taking on Old Dominion. We'll hear from Dan D'Antoni later on next hour, about 7 o'clock-ish or so. We'll get his comments on tonight's opponent, Marshall, taking on Old Dominion. Conference standings a little bit better now after Marshall got a win. Not much, but it's still better. Marshall's now in the win column, so there are no more teams in Conference USA that have not won a league game yet. Middle Tennessee is on top of the league, 5-2. FAU is trailing them 5-3. Then Charlotte's at 4-3, and then it gets closer to the bottom real quick. Old Dominion's 3-4, but they're doing a lot better. They've won a few games. Marshall's 1-7. Western Kentucky's 2-6. Actually had a conversation with somebody in Bowling Green. They told me they think that Marshall's better than Western Kentucky right now. We'll see. We'll see. That's coming up later on this season. We will see. However, the good news is for Marshall, opportunity to make it a 2-game win streak, catching up with Western Kentucky. You don't want to be at the very bottom of the league standings. In the West, UTSA is at the very bottom of the league standings at 1-8. They have lost all 4 of their conference games on the road. They've won 1 home game in conference, lost 4 there. That's the interesting. You look at this. Where's Marshall lost the games? Well, it's spread out all over the place. Marshall's had 5 conference home games, and Marshall's 1-4. On the road, Marshall's 0-3. Overall, they've got the 1-game win streak going on here. They are 1-7 away from the Henderson Center, 7-6 at home. So does that translate into anything here? 1-7 on the road, 7-6 at home. Does that mean that we can expect the Herd to lose tonight on the road, or will they break that one? Were they going to break through on that one? I mean, they're playing a tough Old Dominion team. I mean, Old Dominion's getting better. They're 8-12. I mean, okay, granted. I get it. They're 8-12. But they're pretty good at home. They're 5-3 at home. They're a little less dependable on the road. They're 3-6 there. They've lost 3 neutral location games. Their last 10, they're not as good as some of the other teams that Marshall will face later. I mean, 3-7, but it seems like they're picking back up. They're picking back up, and Marshall's picking back up. So, this might be a better game than we thought it would be here a week or so ago, and that's coming up tonight here. We'll have it for you. 8 o'clock is going to be our tip. 7 o'clock is our airtime here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. No word yet on Tavion Kinsey. I asked earlier if there was an update there. I'm assuming that's going to be a game-time decision. If it's going to be announced, we'll find out closer to tip time for that. But I'm pretty confident. Without him on the bench, I'm okay. I mean, he'll be out there. He'll be cheerleading. If he's playing, he'll be fine. But if he's not playing, maybe keep him out one more game. I'm okay with him not playing. I like what Marshall was able to do without him. I think this is a good opportunity. You want your best scorer out there. You want your best player out there. But I think this is still a good opportunity for the Thundering Herd to get a little bit better, to get a little bit more experience, start winning some games, because obviously the only way that this team is getting into the NCAA tournament, that's winning the Conference USA tournament. That's it. That's the only way. Won't be an at-large bid here. There's not going to be an NIT bid. None of that's happening. The only way you're getting into the postseason is win the conference tournament. So Does Tavion sitting a couple of games make you better down the stretch? He'll be getting better. He'll be a little better rested. Does it make you a better team if some of the other guys get an opportunity to play? I think you can take a positive from that. I mean, you still want to go out and win. Ultimately, you want to go out and win. You're not. I mean, this isn't the Miami Dolphins here where we're paying you to lose. Coaches get paid to win. End of story. Unless you're in Miami or maybe Cleveland. Coaches get paid to win. Fans want wins. End of story. You talk about it being entertainment. You do. And it is. I talk about it being entertainment from the standpoint that, you know what, if your team loses, don't lose your mind too much. I get it. But college is a little different. Unless you're in a pro city, unless you live in a pro city, then that's your team. You're in a pro city. It's the same type of relationship. It's just it's also a lot different from the standpoint there's different money being involved here. But this is entertainment, right? You watch the herd. I guess where I get Dan D'Antoni's coming from, I always appreciate that point of view. Is like, look, did you have fun? I mean, we didn't win. We want to win. Did you have fun? Yeah, it was fun until the end, but it was fun. But at the same time, there's money attached to it. So coaches get paid to win. Fans want to see wins. And at this point in the season, are you putting yourself in a position to win the tournament? Do you have to take a loss to get a win later? Tavion, if he's maybe 80%, 90%, do you want him out there? I think you take him at 100%. And that means you got to go into a situation where you might not win one game. I'm okay with that. I still want the win. However, I want a better team come tournament time because that's it. That's how Marshall's getting into this tournament. No other chance. There's no at-large bid. There's no scenario whatsoever. There's no bubble. There's nothing. Win your conference tournament, but you got to get a good seed to do that too. So that's the other challenge here is, can you get ready in time? Can you be in a spot where you have some momentum? You're going in. You're on maybe a 2, 3, 4 game win streak. You're getting hot at the right time. And how did you get hot at the right time? Well, you didn't have Tavion, but some of the other players got more opportunity to go out there, play. They got a little bit more rhythm, a little bit more experience, got a little bit more flow. Tavion comes back. You plug him in. The team's doing a lot better. Tavion doesn't have to put it all on his shoulders. He doesn't have to carry the burden. He can maybe be a little bit more creative, maybe take the pressure off him. Maybe defense is now going to play Marshall a little bit more honestly because other guys are able to attack and score. There's some positives to be had here. And, of course, I'm not the head coach of the Marshall basketball team, so you can throw all that out. Dan might go, no, you're wrong. You're completely wrong. But I see where he's going with what's happening. All right, question of the day. We're still taking your questions, responses to that anyway. Which Marshall team is going to win today? The men's team, the women's team, both, or neither? We've got more results coming up. We'll get your phone calls in as well. 877-420-TALK. That's 877-420-8255. And our text line is open. We do that at 304-523-2275, 304-523-2275. More coming up on this edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Presented by Huntington Federal Savings Bank.
Welcome back to the Thursday, February 3rd edition, The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Thanks for tuning in. Of course, you can join me on Twitter at Paul Swann. We've got Facebook as well for you, The Drive with Paul Swann. Now, why would you want to join Facebook or Twitter? Well, on Twitter, you get a lot of my commentary. You get score updates. You get a whole bunch of podcast things. You get me on social media because you're not going to get me on TikTok. Facebook, though, we are building community for you. We post our podcasts there. So, we'll take your feedback wherever you are, wherever you're at. And, of course, we podcast as well. And wherever you get your podcast, if you follow us, I appreciate it. You'll get to hear the show every day. So if you don't get a chance to listen to it live, it'll come to you. You don't have to go get it. It will come to you. Text line is open. We're going to open that up for our pre and post game as well. 304-523-2275. That's 304-523-2275. The Herds in action tonight, taking on a very good on both the men and women's side Old Dominion team. We've got a poll question running now on our Twitter handle at ESPN941. We gave you 4 options. Which team's going to win today? The men, the women, both, or neither? Ryan Sirk, our producer this afternoon, has been following that diligently. He's got updated results.
We are still at 0% say neither.
So nobody is taking that bait. Nobody's taking that bait.
We'll take that. 6% believe only the men's win, the men's team. 22% believe only the women's team wins tonight. And that concludes with 72% of people think both teams will win tonight.
Okay. So optimism here. 72% of Herd fans are saying both teams are going to win. You can vote as well. You can find our poll question on Twitter at ESPN941. And if you're following me, I've retweeted it, and you can find the question there. And, of course, you can give me and our radio station account a follow. I appreciate it. Good question. 72% of you are on board with both teams. However, there are a lot of people who are just saying the men are going to win. They're going to 22% say just the women's team's going to win. 6% say just the men's team. I don't know if I'm surprised by that or not. I mean, this is going to be a tough road trip for the Herd. This isn't easy. And for the women, this is going to be a tough one as well. I mean, these are not easy games. So I'm not totally surprised by that, but I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting a little bit more even across the board here. Neither, though. Nobody's taken that bait so far. So good job. That's our question of the day. We'll do that again tomorrow. Maybe. Depends. We didn't have one on Monday. I only get these interns every so often here, so it just depends on when they're available here. All right, game coming up tonight. Herd taking on Old Dominion. We got a lot of Conference USA action to keep an eye on as well, and of course, there are more games on Saturday than there will be tonight. There's only 5 games today. Marshall's among those games. Western Kentucky, of course, on the road as well, taking on Charlotte. It'll be Louisiana Tech's going to be at FAU tonight. Southern Miss is going to take on FIU. And then, of course, UTSA is going to take on Rice. So that's your Thursday action. Saturday, a pretty full schedule. And then there's going to be some games on Monday, February 7th. These are rescheduled games from COVID-19 postponements. So on Monday, Charlotte's going to be at FIU. UTSA is going to be at Middle Tennessee. UTEP is going to be at North Texas. So, this is going to be fun. I mean, we'll have some Monday basketball. The Charlotte FIU game is going to be at 6. So, we'll get a chance to maybe peek in on that. Early go tonight for a lot of these teams on Saturday and tonight. Western Kentucky, Charlotte, the Herd game. That's all coming up various times. Should be fun. We'll have the scoreboard for you. That's coming up tonight here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. On the women's side, though, we'll have a full slate of games to look at as well. Marshall's got the early game tonight in Conference USA on the women's side. So the Herd's going to be the one tipping off early tonight. 6 o'clock, first game. So it should be fun. Just hope the weather holds, though. That's it. That's my only concern. Will the weather hold, and will we see some postponements? We got a lot of high school basketball games postponed. I know that happened. Of course, the game's going on tonight at the Henderson Center, but tomorrow we might not know as well. So, just be prepared. We might have some cancellations as well tomorrow, weather cancellations. We've had a lot of cancellations. A lot of cancellations here. Weather, COVID, weather again. It's not fun out there right now. So I try to keep a schedule of these things. I stopped doing that. I can't do it anymore because every time I try to put together a schedule just for myself to keep track, it gets changed. I can't do it anymore. I have to go day by day. What's happening today? What is scheduled today? They're going to play today? Good. We'll talk about it. Not playing today? Okay, moving on here. I mean, luckily, we haven't had to worry about that for a while, Marshall. That's the good thing. We haven't had to worry about that for a little while. And we got the one postponement that's going to be made up here in the next few weeks. But other than that, we're really not having to worry about some of this too much. I mean, that Southern Miss game, that's it. That's the one we got to really concern ourselves with. And, of course, the Herd for the next few weeks, it's going to be on the road, these two, home on the 10th, and then right back on the road on the 13th. Super Bowl Sunday, by the way. Herd is tipping at 3 o'clock on Sunday, on Super Bowl Sunday, on the road. Nobody is going to be there at UTEP to watch that game. Nobody. Seriously. No. I usually most leagues stay away from the Super Bowl or stay way far away that day. Most leagues, most schools don't do it. I remember years ago, Huntington Blizzard, first season, on the road. I can't remember the opponent. I'm going to have to look that up. But on Super Bowl Sunday, I'm in the studio producing a Huntington Blizzard hockey game because they're playing the same time as the Super Bowl. Nobody was there. Nobody was coming to see minor league hockey on Super Bowl Sunday. Absolutely not. I don't know why they bothered to schedule that. Nobody's going. No. I mean, there might be a few fans out there. I don't know. Unless you don't like the Rams and the Bengals, you don't like it. But nobody's going to be at UTEP. Maybe they figured nobody's going to be here anyway, so might as well just go ahead and schedule that. I mean, I get why you're doing it because, of course, you've got travel considerations. The Herd's going to be playing at home on the 10th, and then you got to go out to UTEP, so you got to have enough time to do that. That's going to be on the 13th, and then back against Old Dominion and Charlotte on the 17th and 19th, and then turn right around, you got to go at Southern Miss on the 21st. Then you got to travel to Middle Tennessee on the 24th, and of course that Southern Miss game was inserted as it was postponed from New Year's Day. And then you got the two games against Western Kentucky, the home game on the 2nd, the road game on the 5th. It's your travel partner. What happens next? Conference USA tournament. So that's what's happening as far as the schedule is concerned. I was just looking at that and thinking, it's just a weird situation. That was what made me think about that. It's the schedule and cancellations here. Hopefully we don't have any cancellations between now and, of course, Conference USA tournament. Thundering Herd needing to collect some wins, sitting not in a good spot right now in the East Division, 1-7. That's not going to get you a good spot in that conference tournament. Of course, you got time. You could catch up to Western Kentucky. I don't know if UTSA, if they're going to be the worst team in Conference USA, you don't want to be in a competition with them. So maybe Marshall can sneak past Western Kentucky. Maybe Marshall can sneak past FIU. They've got a shot. We'll talk about it in about an hour. Thanks for tuning in. For our producer, Ryan Sirk, I'm Paul Swann. This has been The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.